Facebook.
Okay,
So
the
it should be
webinar is now
fine.
broadcasting. No, when you went live on Facebook, we still had the broadcast on this too. And when I
Right.
pressed the broadcast, it went through. It's cool for
Okay,
sure.
so we should be live now. I gotta see.
Yes, we are.
Can you tell?
Yeah, it says recorder. It says live on Facebook, and it
Okay.
says it's
Oh
live.
yeah, I see it. Okay, all right.
Hmm.
So hold on. There's somebody else that's on here. Oh, attend. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on. Promote to panelist.
Oh, Isaiah's here.
Yeah.
Oh, he already here, man. What's
I,
up, man?
unmute your mic. Oh, never mind. I got it. Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
What's going on?
I was just okay.
There we go.
Oh, look at that.
We figured it out, man. That's what I'm talking
Hey.
about.
Whoa.
So I'm on here.
What's going on, brother?
I'm chilling. How's everything going with you guys?
Good, man. This should be a very interesting topic.
Interesting conversation.
Yes, sir.
Say hello to
Oh, hey, dog.
I want to try to before like we really get started. You know, I'm getting happy now because like this is a better platform to me, man. Like if we could get enough people on here, maybe you know what I'm saying, just to hear different point of views and stuff like that, and I think it'd be nice. People could really grow from this, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm about to try to share some more. I don't know if you all want to do
Yeah,
it.
y'all gonna do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I shared it, but maybe I didn't.
I think you did. I saw you share it. I don't know if you shared it today, but I think you shared it yesterday or something, maybe. I saw you pop up. But y'all can hear me good this time, right? Because like last week.
Yeah, you're a lot better.
Yeah, man. Last week it was horrible.
We
Right.
we doing better though. So
Yeah. All right. I can't invite. I already invited, so I'm just gonna share again.
what am I doing?
I shared it 2 hours ago.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to figure out how do I reshare it.
Just go to your go back to your Facebook post and just I guess reshare it again. That's what I'm about to do right now.
Right.
I might just tag, see if I can tag some people. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share it, but I'm gonna tag at the same time. That's how we'll do it.
Yeah, I wanted to share in that Shalom thing, but I don't know how to do that. So.
Oh, you didn't share it then?
I mean the live version of it. Like, oh no, I can just share. I was trying to share the actual live video, but it wasn't letting me do it. So I'm just gonna share the event.
Okay.
And say we live.
So it let you share it on our page, but not in that group, right?
Ain't that crazy? Yeah. Like yeah. So it might be. I'm sure it's user error. It's probably I'm probably the problem.
What I'll do is after I share this, I'm gonna go to our page and then I'm just gonna share that to the group, and that should be live.
Yeah, do that because I can't do it. It won't let me do it. So I'm gonna leave off on it.
My computer won't let me do nothing. It's frozen. Can y'all still see me?
Yeah, we see you and we see you, hear you too.
Oh.
Yeah, I hear you, see you moving your hands and all that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Shoot. I'm about to tag some controversial people too, man. Like, ooh, we about to see. They kind of inspired this topic.
Right.
Let me see. Well, go ahead if you want to.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And so today's topic is left behind. Why do men leave? And every time I'm uncomfortable, I start to laugh. I'm trying to keep my face together. Lie. Okay, so that's the topic for the day, and it was inspired, like Shema said, about from a specific, I think a specific conversation, but also just it's important to bring up issues like this because we on Love Language Roundtable are trying to air our dirty laundry, not with the intent of complaining, but with the intent to illuminate solutions to the problems that we have in the so-called Black communities, beginning with the man and the woman. So if you're gonna do that, you gotta look at both sides of the coin and actually respond to some of the issues that's happening, but also some of the stereotypes that we have heard and that we also implement in our relationships. So I'm just gonna read the little synopsis that we put up. It says, for many nuclear households in the Black community, the male is absent. But why? Are terms such as deadbeat dad blanket statements, or does this ring true for our men? What role do women play in men leaving, or are they just victims? So those are some of the questions that we hope to discuss. And then we encourage everybody always to jump on. We are learning this Zoom program, but you're able to actually join with your face if you want to have your face live on Facebook.
That's right.
So you're welcome to join, and then also if you want to just join and just in the chat section on Zoom, you can do that. Type in your comments, and we'll try to read them as we go along. Also, the third option, the third option would be to comment also on the Facebook page. If not able to get on Zoom, you can just put stuff in there. We'll try to monitor them, but that might be kind of difficult. Or if you want to join, the fourth option is you want to join the Zoom link and just have your voice be heard with your mic, with your video muted. That's a fourth option. So you able to get in where you fit in if you want to even get on and join us. So.
All right. So I just shared it to the Shalom group.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Left behind. Why do men leave?
Right.
Who want to kick this off? Because you know me, man. I give y'all. It's so many different variables.
Right. Well, let me say this because I think we should say this up front. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about why do men leave, we're not talking about incarceration or any of those things. We're talking about a nuclear household, male and female, whether they're married or not, but they've come together and they've had children, and then the man leaves. So I think that's what we are talking about. Yeah. I want to set so I want to set the stage as that we're not talking about incarceration or him being gay. Mm-hmm. None of that. This is strictly the previous scenario I mentioned, so we're all on the same page.
That's right. I tried to I had two links. It was a link of an actual guy who actually did leave his family, and I should have just took notes and brought it in. But what I'm gonna do is once this is over, I'll post it in the page, and then I'll figure out how we can implement, because we are able to play the video live.
Yeah.
You just gotta figure that out as far as making sure it's in sync with the
right.
live. So, but we'll post that on the page. For me, my answer, just to start off, I think that, and y'all go, I don't know if y'all go laugh when I say this, it all goes back to self-preservation. It goes back to it. And even with that, it's different variables. So let's throw out a scenario. Because this statement is too broad. It's too, why do men leave? Man could have got cheated on. It could have been a violent thing. As far as leaving the children, did he leave the children? He's not communicating with the children. Is he still having the visitations? Is it more so the woman upset that he left and he is involved with the children, or did he completely leave the children? You know what I'm saying? It's too many subjects. So as far as the why did he leave, we got to get to the core. It has to be a reason. And that's why that video, go ahead, I'm going to let somebody else jump in, and I'm going to try to see if I can figure out some of the things that were said, unless you all have something that you want to bring out.
Okay. This is an interesting topic for me. For those who don't know, like my personal story, my mother and father worked together at one point, and at some point they split up for a few different reasons. And I also have some close friends who are actually in this situation as we speak. So I guess if we're doing scenario, I will paint two scenarios that have some similar points, but are also their actions kind of separate them. And I guess we can jump in from there. So using myself as a putting a spotlight on my life and creating a scenario. When I was about probably about 4, I think this is probably 94, maybe. Um, my pops and my mother split up for some reason. I don't know if this is just my mind playing tricks, but I still kind of remember it vividly. Um, they were arguing for a good portion of the day. It could have been a little earlier than 94, but this is just a memory that brings out to me. They were arguing for a while. He came and he told me to come in the living room. And he sat me down. We had a nice little discussion. And he was like, Daddy has to leave. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, boy, you coming back? And he was like, no, but I'll always be there, type of thing. Him and my mom had a pretty interesting relationship. From what I know I don't remember a lot because I was really young back then. But I know from hearing stories it was a little volatile. I know they had previously had issues of violence between the two of them. I know my mother was a firecracker, so she would pop off at moments change. Didn't take much, but I remember. I guess you could say their differences kind of drove them apart, or maybe outside influences that were going on in life kind of put that wedge, which resulted in, you know, verbal altercations or whatever, physical altercations. And that kind of, they realized that there wasn't a conducive environment to put me and any other family members. So I would say, honestly, looking back at things, that's what made them leave. Because I had a number of occasions from both my pop and
I'm sorry.
his wife, because he did wind up getting remarried. That he loved my mother, and there was a lot of little issues that went on. So I guess like how in previous videos, kind of topics that you guys had is kind of all of these things intertwined as far as knowing who you're picking and knowing who you're choosing to be in a relationship with, and keeping true to those standards of how we discussed the other week. And as I can, I think my parents did a good job. So they realized after having that wasn't necessarily best position to have a child in. So
Yeah.
that's what ultimately drove that wedge. Another situation.
Wait, before you go to the next one,
Yes, sir.
using your situation, were you one of the children that, like, when the man leaves, or he was still current in your life, or how did that go?
Yes. My father, before he passed, we had
Or,
a
or would your mom say that he was? You know what I'm saying? You know how we would say, yeah, but like, what would you think the mom outlook on it would be?
um
That's what I should ask.
yeah, I can answer both actually.
Okay.
Um as far as from my standpoint, I would say yes. Although there were times as a child when I felt, that those things weren't necessarily the truth. But yeah, overall, yeah, my pops was pretty much there. We had some conversations, especially right before he passed. Um, that was kind of going to solidify things and make things a little stronger between us. But I can't in my right mind say that my pops was a deadbeat or neglectful. He was there as much as he could be, and I'm quite sure, hindsight, that he tried to be there more. My mother, on the other hand, I think deep down inside she knew, because it was clear times where I remember her going to him, and no matter what their arguments had been, when it came to me, they tried their best to get on like a similar pathway, you know. And at points, it was kind of like a love-hate relationship between them. I remember them
Right.
outside, just arguing like cats and dogs or something like that. But they're both looking like, okay, we got to do something. Perfect example. This might be going too far off the spectrum here, but I had a bike and my tire had like a flat, like how you ride a bike, ride over glass or something like
Yeah.
that. And my father, in the area that he was hanging out in, we went over there to see if we can get my bike fixed. Now, mind you, whatever was going on financially between my mother and pops, I didn't kind of get wind of until way later down the road. But they were arguing, and she was like, "Well, your boy needs a daggone bike. So, are you gonna get it fixed or not?" My pops was a little reluctant at first, but then he looked and was like, "Okay, we got to get the." So he wound up giving her the money, for like the patch and everything. So my mom
Mm-hmm.
was pretty resourceful with her hands and building stuff, breaking things down. So she definitely did the rest as far as fixing the bike, but he did provide her with the money to go get it. Whether that was an argument or not, but that at the end of the day, they tried to do what was best, as far as for my enjoyment on my life, you know.
Okay. Well, yeah, I wasn't trying to put too much on you with it, but like your story kind of is opening some areas so we can hit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you witnessed your dad being a part, providing financially. I think that the problem with this topic is most women using the topic is saying that the men just leave,
Right.
don't leave the mom, leave the her and leave the children. That's what I'm taking from them. So my
Yeah.
question is any of it okay from my point of view? I don't think it's valid at all for a man to do that,
I
right? But, and it is a but. Some people will say it shouldn't be no but. It's a but. The reason I say it's a but because it goes into the maturity of the man and or woman, right?
exactly. That was going to be
Um,
my next scenario.
right. So it's like, so I'm sorry if I'm taking it over, but I'm just gonna say this: you would have a man that can literally be really trying, and the woman and or man, I don't want to put it on the woman. It could be either one of them. Can be very difficult. And some men I've witnessed, I've seen, and I've heard just kind of like give up. Now some women will say, "Well, that's he ain't a real man." I can understand where they're coming from because of what they're feeling, maybe what they're going through as far as in the home, taking care of things on their own, this and that. But I can literally, I have a story myself. I got a personal story to where I use me for an example. I think I brought this out on the show before, if I'm not mistaken, on Blog Talk Radio. But I love my children of life. I got my son asleep right now. My daughter, she had to leave. She'll be back today, but she had a gymnastics meet or whatnot. But I literally, it was my scenario, my journey has been difficult. With the mother of my son. It's been difficult. And anyone that knows me personally would know how I operate as far as trying. But so that's why when I'm hearing these stories and I I I understand where the woman is coming from as far as going through certain things, but I can literally say that some actually um, put that on themselves. That might sound harsh, but if I told you my story, like literally, then you understand where I'm coming from. Like it's choices. Like you would choose not to be with this person because of certain things, differences. Like you had said, you and your dad had differences. Your dad and your mom, sorry, had differences. And some people actually break up for that. It could be a man not liking how this woman is, so I'm going to leave her. Or it could be a woman not liking how this man is, so I'm not going to deal with it. But then now it's causing a problem within the children and the both of them. But that's not a good example because I'll have to go in super details, and this show is not really about me. But I give another perfect example real quick, and I'm done. And what I'm trying to get at. So you have it was a woman, and I told you about this too, but I'm gonna bring it out. It was a woman I was courting, and she would say she painted a picture of the father of her daughter, her oldest daughter, as being low down, messed up, always want to fight, argue, this and that, right? And whenever they talked on the phone, he was calm. And she was the one snapping on him, calling him short, calling him just dogging him. I'll sit there like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And when she got off the phone with him, I was like, that's going to transfer over, to us. And that's kind of how we had stopped talking because it actually did transfer over. But my point in using that was we sometimes when we are talking bad about a man and or a woman, we don't really see us and the way that toxic energy that you're putting out towards this man or woman can actually push this man or woman that want to be a part of this child's life away. That's one aspect, and that's my thoughts, one aspect. And it's like some people say, well, it don't matter. You should be there for the child no matter what. That's a yes, but it's kind of a no at the same time if you are continuing to be toxic in this collective relationship. You're not allowing. So then, it's different variables you can go with that, I guess, but that's going to another topic, just get the courts involved and all that. But I know people that got the courts involved and it's still an issue. Mm-hmm. So my thing is, going back to this question, left behind, why do men leave? Is that a valid variable that I brought out? I still think the men need to fight. The men need to fight. Going back to my perfect example, I had to fight. I had to learn the law because I was prevented to see my son for 5 months. 5 months. I went through the lowest part of my life. Like that's I just released the project, right? The project I released before that, Transparent, was about those 5 months. Mm. So what I'm saying is it is men, and what I had to do, I had to step back for those. After like the first month or whatever, continuing to get denied, I lost contact for 4 months after that, and I just studied law. And when I studied law, after I knew what I needed to know, and I wrote that 17-page writ I told you about, and presented the lawyer, boom, got my son back instantly. But so my thing is, I had to step back because I kept getting messed with. Like I kept getting denied. I kept getting, and I didn't do anything to this one. It was a control thing that she actually admitted. I don't know if she admitted on live right now to y'all, but she would actually say, hey, I know I had this issue. I'm sorry for this, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, is it always the man's fault for leaving and staying away? Could it possibly be, not saying that it is the case, but could it possibly be that you are making it extremely difficult? You just might not realize it.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. You know what I'm saying? I definitely think that that the woman does have responsibility. I mean, anybody, the other partner definitely has a responsibility in what happens. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely has some kind of responsibility when it comes to that. Because we do create situations where people don't want to be around us. I think I've been seeing a lot of people say stuff like, if you ain't cool with yourself, why would you ever want anybody to be around you either? And I didn't have that situation. Like my household was one where my father raised me, so I don't know the opposite. I don't know what that's like necessarily. I guess that's not necessarily true, but I don't really know what it's like. But I will say that the kids got to be primary no matter what is going on. And I can say this just from experience is that when me and my husband split up and we got divorced or whatever, like we at least had an agreement about the kids. Like we was in agreement with the kids. I had them half the week, he had them half the week, and we was functioning properly in the situation. And I think that I don't like I was conscious about not talking bad about him to the kids. Like I don't think I ever did. I mean, maybe I don't know. I might have had conversations with adults about what was going on, but I don't think I ever said to my child, "Your father ain't this," or he, because I didn't necessarily believe that. I didn't think he was a good husband, but he definitely was a good father. You know what I'm saying? And I would say that even to this day, my husband, he wasn't a good husband, rest his soul, but he was a good daddy. He did the best that he could with the information he had, which with his backstory, his father left his mama. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on there. So, we only can do what we know at the time. So, and I don't know why a woman would want to badmouth the father to their kids without considering the children. Like, I don't see how. I know people are hurt. They say hurt people or whatever, but I don't understand how you would want a situation that has already bad between you all to then, like you said, transfer onto the children. Because like what benefit is that going to do it? They end up, I think, hating themselves or feeling like they're responsible for I'm on the thing. Just wait a minute. I think they end up feeling like they're responsible. Then so now you got other issues that you got to work with and deal with. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's too. It's a maturity. So like kind of bringing it back towards the left behind while the man leave. Man, that's steady putting. Like this topic is a great topic, but I'm trying to tie it in like on both. My whole thing is, I think it's a lack of maturity, maybe on both, or maybe on one. I don't think it's always both. I don't think it's always only one person either. It just depends on the people, the situation. But I think it boils down to maturity. It's some people that knows how to, because I don't think all men, especially so-called, because the people that I had got it from was more so the culture that we identify with. That's what I had seen more so. But I think it has to do with maturity. I think that it's some things that we do and we don't realize it. I really think that it's some things that we do, or the way that we look at things brings toxic, just brings a toxic energy to us collectively. I really believe that. Like it can be the smallest thing. That's why I wanted to post that video, like the video I was telling you about.
Right.
The man, I'll just tell y'all what the video is about. It's on Oprah. The man, basically, he was coming on there. He was saying that he left his wife and he left his children, and they was trying to ask him. They was asking him why he told them why. We're gonna post it so y'all can check it out. And I went right to the comments because I wanted to see the reaction. And one of the things that I always say, and I'll let one of you all come in after I say this last thing, is I always think it's variables as to why some people don't like that. They'll be like, well, no, this is what it should be and this is what it's supposed to be. I don't think that that's the case. So that's all I'm gonna say right now until we come to the next part of the topic. I don't think that it's just black and white. I don't think it's just that. I don't. Now it's a lot of bad men out there. So I know that to be the case. I understand it. But when I'm looking at like my situation, what my situation was, and how I know I am, and how even they know how I am, that's what I don't get too. I'm gonna say that. I know I'm going sideways, but sometimes, and this might be the maturity aspect, sometimes a man or a woman could know how this person is, but you will still do stuff to hurt them. But then now you're wondering why they're not around.
Right.
Like it's these one of those topics, y'all.
Yeah, I think we talked about that the other day, didn't we? About like not being able to not being able to exist in peace. So I think sometimes we've been in like weird relationships all our lives. Our house is dysfunctional, our relationships are dysfunctional, our jobs are dysfunctional, and then when we find somebody who is peaceful or can it's two things. It's either peaceful, we don't know how to rest in peace. Something got to be popping off. Like, and then we know that I'm not a big proponent of blaming the media, but I'm gonna blame it because I saw a video the other day of a young lady, beautiful young woman, and I guess she was saying like she was talking about it was her birthday or whatever, but all of her mannerisms was like and and I'm like who taught you that? You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it is mimicking what we see on TV about what a black woman is and how she acts. And the same thing for the male. I think we look around us to determine who we are, which is confusion, right? Because we all are. There's things about us culturally that are similar, but I said before, I ain't the average black girl. Okay, I do a lot of stuff that's a little white, but air quote white. So, but I'm just saying, but not being confident in who you are and looking around you to tell you who you are is gonna undoubtedly present these weird characteristics in us that further push us away from other people and make things bad for us. So I would say that not being able to rest in peace, and then also not being able to work through like any kind of growth. So you might meet somebody, maybe the partner, maybe the brother, because we are talking about women and men. I mean, from the man's perspective, maybe the brother is trying to tell you to level up, and you ain't ready to level up. So instead of just saying what you're saying is making me uncomfortable, or I've always done it this way, or I don't know how to change in a way that'll make our relationship fruitful, I'm just gonna cause a bunch of mess and make you the bad guy. Like I think that happens too, and I don't think it's necessarily a conscious thing. I think it's a subconscious thing. You don't know why you don't feel comfortable. And so like you said, now they end up saying, oh, he's a bad guy. But like I said on a totally different topic. No, I think I said on the radio show, like I mean on the blog talk still. From a woman's perspective, right? A man will meet a woman. This is stereotypes, broad statements I'm making. A man will meet a woman. He'll say, "Oh, you everything I wanted, you this, just that." Then they sleep with her, and now she a hoe. So I think it's the same thing with the man, right? He with the woman, she met this guy. She say he a good dude, blah blah blah. But then when something go wrong, now suddenly he ain't this, he ain't that. So I think it's a lot of, like you said already, it's immaturity, not being able to actually function as an adult in a relationship and not willing to work through those hiccups, because every relationship has problems. I don't care how much Bible you know or whatever religion you believe, okay, how grounded you think you are. That household, that relationship is meant for you to grow. If you still the same, if you get married at 30 and you're the same person you are at 60, like I feel bad for you. So I think that a lot of us are making adult decisions and they're producing children and not being ready to really deal with it. In fact, my husband told me because I got pregnant before we got married. We kind of rushed. I got pregnant before I got married. I remember him telling me, I'm not ready. You know what I'm saying? So, it ended up being what it was, but he told me that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's too late then. Sucker.
Yeah, it's
but I remember him articulating that and being afraid. So
I remember in one of the is Isaiah still here? I think, is he still here?
Yeah, he here.
Okay. I'm gonna say this one thing and then let you take the floor.
This thing is muted. I don't know. I'm trying to unmute you.
On one of the comments that I saw that helped me, why I wanted to come up with this topic was, in the beginning, this is what they were, and it didn't come out as to how they were at the, towards the end or whatever. So my thing is this.
You talking about the Garden of Eden?
No. That was a real scenario, or I'm not gonna say that's not a real scenario, but a scenario pertaining to why I came up with the topic. The woman was like that the man that she was dealing with was not like this in the beginning. It came out towards the end. She didn't find out the stuff about him that was part of the character that manifested. It didn't come out until the end. So my thing is this. I truly believe based off based off me and based off everything I done heard from other people, that we see at least something in the beginning. I
Oh,
don't think
absolutely.
it's possible for us not to know how this man and or woman is. So this is what, but
That's
we
true.
so into them that we overlook them. So
Yeah.
what the heck does that have to do with left behind? Why do men leave? Probably nothing. But I think that getting left on either playing field, but to stay on the subject, the man part, not being getting left by him could be prevented if the beginning is really dealt with properly, knowing his character, knowing his situation, knowing if y'all mindset are the same. I know people that got married and they said, "Man, we didn't even think alike," and they divorced though. Of course, they were like, "We was just totally different people," and you hear that all the time, and they will say they knew. I
Mm.
can guarantee you, even though the woman that I'm talking about that I saw commenting is saying that she did not know. It's you just I don't know, you just can't tell me you didn't know something.
Something was off, right?
So, so
Overlooked. You over but anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Isaiah, you was trying to come in.
Yeah, jumping out there.
yeah, so y'all said a mouthful. I was actually it's a lot that I was over here thinking about. So yeah, what you were mentioning about seeing something and knowing something. Um, I definitely think there's signs that are kind of shown. A lot of times we don't heed those signs or pay attention to them even until afterwards. Me and a friend of mine, we call it the glass breaking.
Mm.
And sometimes it takes for us seeing that one thing or being in a situation or having a glass broken before we realize, like, oh, everything ain't cupcakes and roses.
Mm.
Um, and if you don't have the mentality or the maturity to actually deal with those things, it can kind of break you. Sometimes, especially nowadays, in our culture as it stands now, we tend to, like Tamar said, rush things a bit and do things out of order. And because that order isn't there, that means that structure isn't there either.
That's right.
And, we begin to act, and by the time these children are produced, now we're actually getting to know each other,
Right.
And that's
understanding
too
how
late.
we act.
It's too late by then. Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but again, that's what happens when you do things out of order instead of knowing this person and who they are and how they act in certain situations. You done produced a whole child with them. This is another living entity now, and
Hey,
y'all.
hold on. What does that mean, man? When people say whole child, I be dying laughing like you got a whole child. Is it a
Like,
half
is there such
child?
thing as a habitat?
You know
Nah.
what I'm saying? Go ahead. I say it all. I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
man, you got a whole job. It's a habit. I mean, part-time job. Is that what you're trying to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's just another one of those things. Like saying like behind each everything in
Yeah,
the conversation.
Right.
yeah.
Like this,
Uh,
no, is it that?
It's a
Brings me
buffer.
back to an
my
old
bad, man.
English teacher of mine, Mr. Ender. He used to say that all the time. Is it like or is it that? You know. So but that's
Um,
that's that's a segue. But getting back to what I was saying. So yeah, I think the thing that we missing, and it's funny that we're having this conversation now with the other episodes that you guys were having leading into it, because it fits. It kind of like creates a narrative here where if you avoid this, this, and this, you can. Not saying you will, but you can potentially avoid this issue that we're having now, as far as
mhm.
fathers being absent in the relationship with their child.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think it's one where I know stereotypically we blame or put the onus on the father for not being there. Um, I don't think blame can be properly placed on either gender. I think it's one of those things where the circumstances kind of create the narrative. And if you avoid those circumstances, then that narrative can be avoided.
that's
Uh,
right.
like how you were mentioning, well, In that other scenario I was going to bring out earlier, this would happen really close because it was a child. Both of them were pretty close to me. One was a childhood friend, and the other one was a close friend through high school. The childhood friend and I, we had basically split at a young age, and I didn't get reconnected to him until high school. And the friend that I knew, like we knew each other in high school. I can't say no names and nothing like that. I don't want to put nobody's business out there.
Of course.
But so the scenario goes, of course, everybody around my friend seen how the childhood friend, which is the male, how he acted, and people were like, "That's not necessarily a good relationship to be in." I didn't find out about the relationship until after. So like, oh, y'all are together. Interesting. But long story short, they had a child together, and not that I held allegiance to anyone, but I would look at how he would act, and she would, tell me certain things, and we all hung out occasionally, so I would see certain things, and I would talk to her and be like, okay, this is what the situation is, and she would tell me how things are going, and they kind of split up afterwards, and I'm like, but y'all have this child together, so much so that I would have to begin to step in and act as a male figure. I don't want to say father figure to the child because I wasn't that, but I would act as a male figure to the child, and I would go back and tell the father, which was my childhood friend, like, look, man, you got to step up, and he would have an excuse behind everything. So going back to maturity, the reason why he left because he wasn't ready for that position. But in his mind, he was trying to psych himself up to be. So basically, he was lying to us. And that created a whole nother circumstances of issues that compiled on the fact that he was not in a relationship with the child's mother and now neglecting the child, so much so that both sides of the family started, bickering back and forth. So now it's like a snowball effect. In that circumstance, I blamed him, and I still do to this day, because where all opportunity were giving for him to go ahead and take that step, he hid from it and he ran from it. And I understand we sometimes make decisions and we're not ready for it. But at that point, instead of being honest, sometimes you just gotta buckle up. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, there was an old Naughty by Nature song called "Knuckle Up and Guard Your Grill." At that point, he needed to knuckle up and kind of bear that, because you had already made that decision. You already completed that act. Now you can't run away from it. It's been done. So if you wasn't ready, you need to take those necessary steps. And I look at it because his situation, much like what Tamar was saying, when he was a child, his father wasn't necessarily there, right? So it's like at some point in time, somebody has to, kind of change that narrative or that ever-ending circle. Somebody needs to take that path to another direction because it's not working. And we had conversations about it. He was saying he was going to do it, and he'll pop up every couple years. He'll pop up, and then it's like he'll disappear again. And the only person I'm seeing getting hurt is the child. And things are kind of getting easier because the mother in that situation has gotten married, and he started the family. But in that sense, that male has not only stepping up to take care of his kids, but he's also taking care of the child that was produced outside of the marriage. But you can see where I guess his age and everything else kind of culminated to him having a stronger sense of maturity, or I know how to handle this situation. So I'm saying a lot of times when we say, what is the reason why, men leave, could partially be due to what we've been taught, as well as age, or not necessarily age, but wisdom. within that age. A lot of times we see he was still trying to do the party life, have fun, and it's hard to have fun when you got a child, or you
Yeah.
have to find
Yeah,
new ways to have fun. Going out clubbing and partying and etc. That ain't necessarily the narrative of life anymore because you have another responsibility.
That's right.
yeah, and I think, I think that's why women get aggravated about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, uh, you know, a man could get a woman pregnant or whatever, and then dip off, and she can't never dip off. She can't never do. And I think just that just makes stuff worse for everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's what feeds the N words ain't ish near, conversations, and he ain't that, and blah blah blah. Because it starts from that, and I do think, I wonder about, I think a sister had mentioned accountability, like uh we don't. I'm saying we collectively as a community of people don't hold each other accountable about nothing.
Right.
Mm.
I have
You
a
know,
question to that
because
though.
it's a what she said is that, where the brothers at? Like, where's his network of men that's gonna be like, you bogus? And then not just say you bogus, because we talk that all the time. People don't necessarily want to hear, but what other roles, what other accountability can we have? Talking solutions, I guess now, kind of jumping the gun, but um, yeah, that's disturbing. You know what I'm saying? And I think women are able to articulate how it's bothering the children, because we see our child being sad about something, and so now when it comes to the woman thinking positively about black men, and thinking, because I'm just saying, like, this is one situation, they were probably young or whatever. I mean, youthfulness is one thing, but that impact that could have impacted her marriage. I'm not saying it has, but I'm saying it could have impacted her marriage, when now she thinking the N words ain't this, and I'm not gonna ever let no man ever get close to me. And then that's talking crazy in front about about the father in front of the kid, and it just continues. But all the while, uh, the first offense has not been addressed properly. Like,
Right.
sound like
So
this brother has been left to his own devices, and through age he got older. But yeah, what do you think about the brothers? Like, I guess, what would you say to somebody that was in a situation, like a brother that wanted to say something to the brother? Like, how would you? I don't know. I don't know babble, but
okay, so in the situation that I just talked about, I was that so-called, I guess, voice of reason, so to speak. Like, and it got to a point where he resented me for it. Matter of fact, he still does resent me to this day. But he didn't like me because I kind of put put those things on the table. Whereas, in like I said, he wanted to run from them, and I told him he couldn't do that. And so when you ask where those brothers at, I'm not sure if that's a strong case for every male, but in a sense, I tried to be that as best I could, until he ultimately kind of even rejected my I wonder if you could say counsel conversations. Um, the question I wanted to ask, as far as accountability is held, in that situation, clearly, he needs to take action. But I also think, like how you said, women are the ones that get pregnant and end up having these kids. Where's the accountability or the education behind how they should pick a man and what qualities they should look for? And I don't want to make this like a bash in this gender, a bash in that gender type of thing. But if we're going to talk about it, we got to talk about it. And what I see is there is no education on both sides for what we need to be looking at. Going back to what standards we should have, what we need to be looking at as far as how we pick our spouse or our significant other or the person we choosing to have kids with, however you want to put it. We need to set what the standard is and teach the younger generations or even the older generations how to become that, because that's what's missing. A lot of times I hear the narrative, oh, it's the woman that gets pregnant. Unless there's some situation like rape going on or something like that, the woman can also choose who she let enters her. And a lot of times
Right.
that choice is kind of hindered. But even going beyond that, because a lot of times, although that narrative is now spoken, it's too late for that because like these kids are already here. And how do we change that gap of that relationship? And I think it first starts off with both parties not being petty, because I see a lot of times where women or men use the child as a way to get to the opposite, sex. And that's wrong on so many levels. If you ain't doing nothing but hurting the child, first and foremost. And a lot of times, although we have these children, we don't look at the responsibility of them, and we don't look to them. Like we ignore the things that we have to do for them and kind of put ourselves first to. And having a child automatically, in my mind, means you now essentially come second. But if you're going to be selfish, it's probably, or if you have a selfish attitude, it's probably best that you don't have children at that point.
Let's get real, man. Let's get real now. Now it's about to get hit. I'm about to go ahead and let it out. Let the cat out the hemp or whatever.
Yeah.
It's time for me to get a little more real right now. End of the day, I'm about to put out 4 points, I think. I don't know, it might be 5. But I'm gonna just put these points out. The first point is self-preservation. The education part of what he's saying, that's a part of self-preservation. If the woman is educated enough to know who the man that she should pick, this stuff wouldn't happen. And hold on, some women might be like, man, no, that ain't no, just hear me out. If you have preserved yourself and you know yourself and you know exactly what you want, what you deserve, you would not pick a man that is like that. As far as the man is concerned, the man needs to be educated, needs to know, because it's a lot of dogs out there, period. It's a lot of bad men and bad women out there. Then you have the part on what he just brought out with the whole, I think that the social construct of things and social media, the feminist group, all these, it's so, all this stuff plays a part in all of this to me. So the solution as far as going forward, if you already have a child, it's like you either go lose or you go win. You're not, because here's the thing, you can change, but what if the man don't change? Now you're still dealing with this bogus man that left. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have a man that's operating properly, but you have a woman that's still operating the way that she's watching through these social medias and social TV shows and friends and family, these outside sources. So it's just ain't no win. Going into what you were saying real quick with the whole accountability, as far as not with the man and the woman, but the outside sources trying to be accountable, the men stepping up and talking to these other men, that ain't gonna work. It's not working until we get an establishment how Nation of Islam had, the Judaism have, to where we can really keep these men accountable. It's not happening. I'm sorry. Like the brother said, he talked to the guy, and what happened? Nothing happened. It's not, we at a stage right now where we have to protect ourselves, because we don't have some like laws in place to where we actually abide by, as far as like a council, real council. We don't have that. So the best thing you need to do, for those that might watch this, I hope somebody watch it, that might not have a child, get yourself in order, man. You have to protect yourself. You got to preserve yourself for your future child. Because guess what? If you pick the wrong man or woman, but I'm going to say wrong man, then now you might put yourself in a position to where you might be left behind. Why? Because there's so many variables. It could be where he learned from his father, or not even having a father, not having a father figure, not having a woman that knows how to objectively teach you. You know what I'm saying? It's so many variables. Now I'm just ranting, but I'm trying to put all these things out. to kind of have us think. It's not happening with the account, like the one that put about accountability, because I know you're talking about that post. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's unless we the Nation of Islam, unless we Jewish community, it's not happening because we don't have any structure. We have individuals that are structured individually, but we don't have any man that can really help, because the man could come talk to the man, but ain't nothing gonna change because there's nothing in place to hold this person accountable as far as like penalties. There's no penalties involved that can really change his mind other than child support. And people get around that all day.
So
So
there's
go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, brother, but I hear what you're saying, and I agree to an extent.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the thing is that I'm seeing, and I this is where I agree, where you say there's no penalty or there's no judgment, but with that there needs to be a stronger sense of a code, or what I could call a code of accountability, or a structured situation where we as a people say this is what we hold firm to before we allow any other group, whether that be a governmental establishment or anything else. If we're going to say we're going to be a community, a family, a culture, then yes, I agree. We need to establish that. Education primarily is the number one way I feel to get that established. Although the brother didn't listen to me in that sense, as far as, conversation, I feel as though the conversations I've had with his son, as far as this is not how you treat a woman, and the conversations his father or his stepfather, I guess you would say, had with him, as far as this is what we don't do to our woman, or this is how we don't treat them. If we get that consensus, and let's say this present day right now, we as men are deciding to change the narrative, right? And we're gonna, it's just a lot of other smaller things, or a lot of other things that need to change within that change in the narrative, as far as how we pick our woman, or how we pick who we want to be with, and what we expose our children to, right? So I'm guessing the to pull everything together, I guess the question would be, I don't know if we getting into the solutions part on this aspect, but the questions would be, what steps do we take to move forward? I think those steps start with education, and it starts with a group of people. Like how you said, there are people structured as far as individuals. Those individuals need to stand up and start speaking out, or those individuals need to place themselves in roles where they can ideally speak to the masses. So let's say there's educators. I remember a long time ago, I used to have a substitute teacher. He now runs a group. I'm a shameless plug, I know, but shout out to the Honorable Impressionable. That's the name of his group. And the ideal is to teach younger men how to be that ideal, or that narrative of a young man that moves into adulthood. So a core foundation of standards that he has then identified and chose to teach these this next generation. So when they then go out and they operate under that same tutelage. I think there's a Jehovah's Witness knocking at the door. Sorry about that. But I think that narrative needs to be pushed more, because when he came into the class, and it's funny, something he said way back, this was like the 5th grade for me now, that still stuck with me to this day, and it was on how to deal with certain conflicts. I believe one of the kids in the classroom had nudged one of the young ladies or whatever they were playing, but at the end of the day, his idea was, while y'all play fighting and everything, think of what you're doing on a deeper psychological level. I'm gonna yield on that point. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and speak.
Yeah, the only feedback I have really is about, selecting your mate. I understand that you should have like certain standards and qualities, but like I don't think it's anybody's individual responsibility to keep somebody from doing them dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like I think you could pick somebody that had everything on your list. At the end of the day, when that person is triggered by something that ain't got nothing to do with you, perhaps maybe something from their childhood that they have not revealed to you, or they ain't ready, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Self-preservation, Shema, that's what they do. They like, well, I ain't ready for this, so I'm gonna take care of myself. So that's the only thing I would say, because to put it on the woman to make better decisions is cool theoretically and it's true, but then what happens to her and the child, it ain't necessarily always on her. We're gonna constantly be interdependent no matter what. You know what I'm saying? And but I do agree that conversation, obviously people gonna do what they gonna do regardless whether or not they got a brother talking to them or their mama talking to them or their father talking to them. They gonna do what they want to do anyway. I mean, I think that's just the nature of human beings. But I wanted to bring up the accountability because somebody had brought that up, and so I thought that would be,
I just want to say, like, I'm gonna go back to it again. I think that I'll speak on the first part you said, and then the last part about the woman part or the women part. I really believe, and all I could do is go off of me right now and stuff that people done brought to me. If we pick, because that person can reveal themselves later, like you said, they can just change or whatnot. But I think I don't know what you mean by that fully, but what I'm trying to bring out is if I pick somebody that is level-headed, that is, for me, someone that observes Torah, and I mean really observe it, like seriously, like not just playing. That's I can see is wise. Like first and foremost, we need to stop jumping into relationships in 2 months, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. I mean, 6 months is kind of but like 6 months to a year, I think you should just really learn this person first. I don't think we learn them. We jump right into it. That is one
right.
issue.
Right.
Because they say people change at the 6 month mark, sometime the year mark. You know what I'm saying? I know it's people that could probably last more than a year. But for the most part, most people, that 6 months to a year is that area where they start to really reveal themselves. Wait for a minute. Stop jumping to a relationship in 2 months or 3 months. I've done it. So I know, you know what I'm saying? But even within those 3 months, like in that one song I did in that last project, I said I knew in the third, what I say, I knew in the second month, third day, or third month. I knew, but I ignored it. So keep your standards. If you keep those standards, whatever comes out later that reveal themselves you was talking about, my thought on that is whatever comes out, it's not going to be something crazy because you pick a person that hit these the wisdom, the sincerity in their walk, the really living whatever journey you are a part of, the level-headed. You can tell, you can hear how people talk. To see who they're around, their friends. Observe who they're around. Observe who they hang out with. Observe what they fill their mind with as far as social media, TV, whatever it is. We ignore those things. Half the time, we pick people. Half the times, we not even strong in those areas. So we picking somebody that's actually like ourselves. But we might on certain parts of it, we might not operate in the negative in the area where they at, but we're basically kind of like these people. That's what I'm seeing. Going into what you were saying about the woman towards the end, as far as like, at the end of the day, they have the children and then they're left. So it shouldn't be put on them. I don't want no woman watching this to think that I'm putting it on them. What I'm trying to do is those that don't have a child, I'm trying to help prevent it from happening because women are getting hurt bad, and it's going over into the next children that they have, and it's continuing. So just like the men have that protective role, they supposed to guide this and that, blah blah blah. They say that the teacher first is the woman. That's what they say. I have a different belief, but I'm gonna go off what society says. And if that's the case, then this hurt that she's having due to the man, this is what Isaiah was speaking on, the education on both parts, which we need. But the hurt that's going over to the man is transferring over to the child. I think I told you something right here. I'm gonna bring this out. I told you this the other day. Here go a transparent part. Two things. No, see this, I ain't making it about me. All I'm gonna say is sometimes, like I said, the maturity within some women and men, but I'm talking about as far as the transferring over to the child I was talking about. That lack of maturity and the people that are around you can transfer over to the child and transfer over to what you have with that man. Why am I saying that? Because remember before I just said this part, I said when you look in the beginning at who you're talking to, look at who are their friends. Look at how their family are. Look at what they're involved with. All these things play a part to help you not be left behind. That's just my take. I could be wrong, but from what I've gathered from a lot of women I've talked to and men and myself, my situation, I ignored that. If I would have went off of what I know now, which I knew then, I ignored. I knew these things was going to happen. Most people knew or know these things are going to happen based off of, hey, this is a good person. She good or he good. But man, her friends or his friends, he be going in, they be doing all, that's going to transfer over to me. Eventually it's going to transfer over if this is their life.
Right.
We can't ignore that. It goes back to what Isaiah said, we can't ignore the beginning due to the present of what we're in. Now, last thing I'm going to say in this last breath, the solution going forward, because now they have the child, right? The solution going forward is trying to figure out, like he said, I think he said something similar, if you all could be amicable, if you all can figure out a way to really care for the child. Because if you all are at each other, you're not caring for the child. The last woman I was courting, I'm going to give you an example. When I saw that was going on, and she was snapping on him and things of that nature, I'm talking about her daughter got sick. And she got, why is he sick? I mean, why is she sick? She can't sick. I'm listening, like, and she was like, I don't even care if he's in the picture. I don't need him. But then on the other side of it, she's saying what he's not doing. But you're contributing to it. It's not making sense. That's why I say when I hear women say that, I respect it, and I hope that it's true in all aspects of what they're saying. I hope it's true, but it's another side. Sometimes if a woman is like the woman I was dealing with, in regards to that, she's not a bad person, not a bad woman. I'm talking about in regards to that. She's contributing to it. She's contributing to it. I would not be surprised if this dude just left because of what's happening. A strong man gonna stay regardless and gonna fight, you know what I'm saying? But some men aren't as strong as you want them to be due to maybe, it could be anything that happened in their past. It could be anything. They could be like, okay, I'm gonna fight. I'm fighting. But then if this is steady happening to them, they might think of what happened to their dad or something. Or their uncle. This is gonna happen to me, so why am I gonna fight? The court's gonna do me over anyway. Why am I gonna fight? If we want our men, if the women want their man to not their man, but the fathers of their children to really, really be involved, then co-parent right. And I know that's not the case in every scenario. I'm going off of the scenario I just gave. Try to contribute amicably. Try to be civil. Let him not be civil. You be civil. Let him not be civil. And vice versa. Just let that person act stupid. Do as much as you can, but don't say you're doing it if you're really not. And that's what I witnessed with the one I was with. She's really not. She going in on his brother. I lie to y'all not. So that's my little take.
So Isaiah, I know people are commenting on Facebook, and I can't see all the comments. So I don't know if somebody can read them. I can't see. I only see the last 3 of them. I don't know, but we see y'all on Facebook. We appreciate y'all commenting, but so maybe we can read your comments.
I'm about to get my phone and so I can go. So
okay.
Before they continue, y'all, I hope y'all can discern where I'm coming from. I'm not taking up for deadbeats or men that leave. I'm just trying to throw these things out to give some different points of view. I believe the man should be there. I'm there, you know what I'm saying? But we have to look at every aspect as to why. Let me get this going.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree. I mean, I think it's a touchy subject either way because we all feel like we right, you know what I'm saying, or like we have done what we could do. But I would agree, no matter who did what to what. We all choose to make decisions, and ultimately the children got to be first and foremost. I don't care whether you've been left or not. Like if you're married, the kids got to be first. You know, to an extent. I know people say stuff like, you know, if you have if you cook a meal, the man should eat first. I don't mean that. I'm talking about like knowing that whatever y'all union is for the benefit of the next generation, because they're the ones that can eventually fix the errors that you made, you know what I'm saying, in your marriage. So when they get their wife or husband, so I definitely agree with that.
So the number one thing, or as far as I like to look at it in the sense of the fruits of the spirit and operating within the confines of the Most High. What I'm seeing now, and kind of what we all alluded to, was being humble. And once both parties, as far as the adults in that situations, are the child bearers, once they've come to a point where they're both operating in a selfless, humble position, then they could then kind of see the book open. Looking at some of the comments, I can't catch all of them either, but Tawanda makes a good point. And she was actually agreeing with you, Tamar, and she says this is very true, that sometimes it isn't about picking the person that meets the checklist. They can meet the checklist and still something can go wrong. She's saying, as far as in other comments she was alluding to, a person presenting themselves as one way and then over time becoming something else. And we're not saying that that's not true. What we're trying to do now is find a narrative or create a narrative where that is lessened. None of us have the ability to control any other person. And the same as being in a relationship. You can't stop a person from acting the way they want to act, whether they was acting one way in the beginning and had an epiphany and decided to be a ruthless tyrant in the end. But with education, we can put those things on the table. And, as the saying goes, train a child up from when they're young and they won't stray far from the path. They might stray from the path, but it will always be there in their mind. Right. I might not need to be acting this way. That was a double. But so touching on what you were talking about, Tawanda, and piggybacking off of what Tamar was saying and Shema, the ideal is to now move forward and operate humbly. If y'all done hit this point and y'all both can't find a way to salvage a relationship, put the best interest of the child first. I mean, I know it's easier said than done, but if you're operating from a humble position or operating from a selfless position,
mature.
Mature
is that.
Including that, being very mature about it, y'all can find a way to kind of get over that hump. I think we get into these cliche habits like talking bad about the other party in front of the child are comparing the child to that other party. For instance, if they did something wrong, you ain't nothing. You I had, because this happened to me on both occasions. Where I've done something that might not have been ideal, and other adults also knew my pops and like, oh, you ain't nothing like your pops. And it's like, well, I'm trying to be my own self. Or, you know, not necessarily me, but I've seen situations where, the child was doing something negative and the mother, or in some cases the father, comment, you acting just like such and such, y'all ain't gonna be nothing. You know what I mean? Or comments like that, we gotta kind of remove ourselves from, because you're not only, first of all, you're pushing yourself away from your child, because 9 times out of 10, and I see this all the time, the relationship you have with that other person is not the same relationship that parent has with the child. To
Right.
to that child, that parent could be, Superman or Superwoman. You know what I mean? And you berating them and bashing them is doing nothing but kind of making that child resent you. I seen an
Right.
interesting comment on Facebook, and I guess it came from a woman's perspective. A young lady wrote it. I don't know her name, but it was. I think they turned it into a meme. It was like, no matter what the father does, because it was a father who I guess it is appearing to be what they say deadbeat is. She was saying, no matter what the situation, I'm never going to talk bad about my son's father. I'm going to allow my son to see that.
Right.
Although it might hurt him in the beginning, as he gets older and with corrective parenting, we can teach him how not to be, or something like that. So that's what she was the post was alluding to, not talking bad about the other parent, but allowing the child to learn a lesson from that and know what not to be for their kid, or whatever happens in the future for them. And I think that's an important lesson to learn, because whereas in up until my moms and pops had a custody battle over me, things were pretty much cool. Like I said, there was some minor stuff I'm not going to really go into here on this post here, but you know, ideally, all in all, they did a good job keeping me away from it until they went into their custody battle. But that happened years down the line. I was much older, and I was able to see or kind of understand the BS that both of them were putting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to paint it like, my mom's or my pops was one way and not the other. And if any family members see it, whichever side y'all stand on, it is what it is. They both dead anyway now, so let's just be easy. But all in all, the ideal is not to focus on those things and kind of move into the here and now of what we do, and that comes from operating under maturity. Because whether you hate the person you had the child with, ideally y'all can come to an agreement on what's best for the child.
I want to say something real quick. Man, this tough, because part of me, I want to stay completely on the subject. So it's like two scenarios to bring out. It's for those that don't have a child, and then it's for those that do have a child. And for those that don't have a child, I think you need to figure out yourself and what you truly want, not according to what you're around. A lot of stuff that we believe that we want is due to what we're seeing on TV shows and around society and things like that. That's why I feel people should find out who they are, and then kind of base it upon whatever customer culture they are derived from, because it's going to fit you. It's in your DNA. You're not going to fit completely on what we're seeing and what's going on. That's why you're failing now, in my opinion. That's an opinion. So going back to those that don't have a child, and this is what I wish I would have did. I love my children to life. Do not get it wrong, but you best believe the stuff that I know now, they are learning now, even at 10 years old and 3. And my 3-year-old, don't really understand me, so I am making audio MP3s right now, showing them what's going on with my life right now, but also preparing them for what they're going to see so they can better choose what direction to go. So my thing that I was trying to say basically is you have these standards for yourself. You have these checklists. Don't jump straight into relationship with nobody. Learn them. Communication is very much key. We talked about this, I think, last show or show before, 2 shows before, about revisiting each month with each other and talk to each other about things you might not like or what you do like. See if it's things that could be compromised. That constant communication will help. And then if you do separate, since y'all were so able to have that constant communication, it should not be as hard to communicate once you're separated, because a lot of times when people are separated, now they have this quote unquote hatred for the other person, and it is hard for them to communicate, even if both or one of them believe that they're being humble or sincere. It's not going to be easy to communicate because you didn't establish that with each other before. So that's one. As far as if you have children, I think that goes into what Isaiah's saying. Y'all, I think it still leads from what I just brought out with the constant communication. So if you didn't have that constant communication before and you're separated, it's just going to have to bank on both of y'all being mature, man.
Can I ask a question when you're done?
Let me say this one. Yeah, definitely. This one thing I want to say is what stemmed from for this topic. I believe, and I could be wrong, and I'm not saying no names, but I believe that what women go through as far as with men is it goes into that maturity I'm talking about. One and or the other, no, one or the other and or both are not mature when dealing with each other. That, I think, is why you might have some, and I'm not taking up for no deadbeats. I don't agree with deadbeats. But if it is a person that's not a deadbeat and has been there and was there with their children and it just fell off some type of way, we need to figure out why. And we need to come together. I'm almost certain that it's probably due to not being able to communicate with each other and both of them being immature towards one another in some way. Because what Tamar just said earlier, and that was in regards to this conversation, I think that she can take that and apply it to everything dealing with man and woman. And what that is we don't agree on everything. So I think the problem is, and I'm gonna let you ask your question right now, the problem is, are we able to disagree and still remain mature?
That's right. So
that's a solution, by the way. A solution is to try to get mature. That's
right.
Right.
So I definitely agree with you where you're coming from with that. My question was also along with maturity. I guess you can kind of all lump it in, but I think Tamar, you had mentioned that as far as being humble, but not being petty. I see a lot of times where people do things wrong because they know it to get to the other person.
Yeah.
On purpose. And it's like, well, I know this ain't right, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm angry. Which, that definitely chimes into the whole thing about maturity that we were speaking of. But my question is, when it gets to that point and people can't see past the enrage and the hate and the anguish that they have for each other, having a mediator, so to speak, does that help or does that hurt things?
I'll let you go, but I got to answer. I got a testimony.
I feel as though ideally, everybody who knows me know I don't really like a lot of people in my business. But then again, I'm looking at other aspects. I know a family right now who it seems like they've got on the right page and actually wound up getting back together. But in that meantime, in between time, they were at odds, hated each other's guts, and it took, I guess, the mother-in-law kind of, you know, started ringing bells there as far as don't do that because you know that's going to bother him this way and you know that's wrong. When I say, okay, hold on. Before I make any more mention, when I say add a mediator in between, someone who's level-headed and don't have their own personal bias, because a lot of
Right.
times when we go for quote unquote advice or encouragement or anything else within a situation, we go to somebody who's going to agree with us or who has a personal connection with us.
That's right.
And we tend to, again, like how I was saying before, not only X the child's concerns out or the concerns for the child, although we might say we put in that first. Are we really? That's the question that we have to ask. So I'm talking about someone who's, in a sense, not going to say, well, you right, baby, he shouldn't did this. And it reminds me of a video I seen years ago. It was like a viral thing where the father, I guess, was trying to pick the children up, and the mother and the daughter were both cussing the man out. And he had, I guess, he had a recording. They was kicking the car, pulling the kids out the car, and all of this other stuff. And he was just trying to get the kids to, you know, get on so he can go about his way. So I guess they were trying to do the co-parenting thing. You have your visitation days, I have my days, or something like that. But in that situation, I guess you could see the middle person was siding with one of the parties.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to
Mm-hmm.
I want to answer this question because I've had I've had that happen. Not that happened, but I've had a mediator several times when I was married. So different people that was family, people that was not family. So I don't know what works for other people. All I can say is that I think it's a good idea. I wouldn't, in a situation where everything is jacked up, I would not exclude that as an option because people respond to mediation differently, period. So in the situation that I had, the person both times, because I think it's on two people, yeah, they told me when I was wrong and they told him when he was wrong. So that's one thing. I do agree about picking somebody that is objective and that but even with that, it's the same situation as the accountability. So you could have a mediator and talk through your issues and the person say, yeah, do this, blah, blah, blah. And they, y'all hang the phone up or close the door and they leave and y'all go back at it or whatever happens, you back at it. So I think it's good, but I think all that does in the end is create witnesses for you. I mean, I ain't trying to be petty, but it kind of does make people be like, I kind of see, because that's what happened to me. I had people, people was kind of like in the corner, like, I basically I feel bad for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened in my situation was that people was kind of like, I kind of see what she was going through, and it was an abusive situation. So I kind of like I needed people to say that because I felt like, am I tripping? Am I like you know what I'm saying? So I actually needed people to say, you ain't just being dramatic. Those things, that stuff is happening to you. You know what I'm saying? So, but in the end, I don't think it worked. But I still agree with it because I don't know. It might be a godsend for somebody else relationship.
I think for me, it only will work if both people truly want it to work. And then they put in the effort from the information that's given to them
Right, exactly.
to succeed.
Right.
If they don't do that, and if they can't take criticism, constructive criticism dealing with themselves, that's an issue too. And then we have the, let me know if I'm talking too low, y'all. My energy just kind of went down a little bit, man, because like when I continue to talk about this stuff, I feel for the so-called black man and black woman, especially the woman from the standpoint, like a perfect example. And I'm gonna be real with y'all, like the mother of my son. I didn't choose to leave her. I got left. So, but now she's in a situation, she was in a situation to begin with, that she is, she's staying with dad, with my child, and with her other child, in a little room. And that's how well, little room, I ain't talking about like no little movie, a room
Right,
with,
right. The room, exactly. Yeah. The movie.
right. No, just what I'm saying is, but and see, watch this. Now I'm gonna be transparent with y'all. So see, watch this. Now, from the outside person looking in that don't know me, they're gonna look at that like, well, where's the dad?
Yeah.
They're gonna say, where is the dad? Why aren't you? But then you don't know the flip is like, I've been trying, well, not now, that's dead now. But like when I was trying and continuing to try, she wouldn't, this is what she wanted. And it wasn't because I did something wrong. Mind you, y'all, I never used any profanity in the years I was with her, never put my hands on her, never cheated on her, never did none of that stuff. But it was more so, and she's a good person. I'm not making her sound like a bad person, by the way. I don't want y'all to think that. But I think a lot of times we have things that we want or we prefer. And if we don't get what we prefer or what we want, then we don't want to deal with it.
Right. I agree. I would agree with that.
And so this is just what I'm trying to make it objective when I'm mentioning without bringing into our situation. But this is what I see with a lot of situations. So that was literally her choice. So when I say stuff like that's, we make our choices.
Right.
That's a choice. And watch this. I feel for that though. I hate that you're in that situation. I dislike it. I hate it. You know what I'm saying? But it's nothing that I can do at all. Outside person looking in is going to say, where is he? That's a fact. That is a fact. They won't know. They don't know nothing that took place over the years. Nothing at all. Don't know none of the circumstances. Don't know a darn thing. But the first thing they're going to say, what am I bringing it up for? Now, if you have that person doing that, now that person is not helping you. That's why this is going back to what Isaiah was talking about. When you bring an outside person in, bringing someone that's objective and not a yes man or yes woman. So left behind, I'm going to try to tie back up to the thing. Left behind, why the man leave? One of the things that I putting in the Man versus Women War book, I was telling y'all about it, I'm doing, is a lot of times our outside sources, our friends, our family, they play a part in the destruction of who you're with.
I agree.
Depending on the maturity level of that person that is attached to them. Are they easily influenced? That's one of the major things that happened with me and her. I lie to y'all not. You can ask anybody that knows me. You can even ask her herself if you actually talk to her, if she was truthful. I was not a bad dude. I didn't do any of the stuff that when I be hearing stories that y'all be telling me about what dudes do to women, I be like, dang. Like I ain't do that, man. So what happened? A lot of our arguments was due to outside sources. It never was us. It was not us. A lot of our disagreements and or quote unquote arguments was outside sources, y'all. I'm being transparent for y'all right now. I'm trying to, hopefully somebody will listen to this that might be watching it. And if you really think about stuff that you go through and what you might talk to your friends about your significant other or whoever you might be talking about, observe their reaction and how they talk to you about whatever the subject is. Observe how they respond. See if it's to benefit both of you to succeed or not. If it's, you can see that, but we don't. We rather want to hear somebody agree with us, kind of what Isaiah was saying. So how does that tie up with this right here? The man leaving, this can be a subject. This can be one part of it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever this, it could be a scenario to where it's dealing with the family. You know, kind of with that movie Acrimony. Me and you was talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
I almost forget. How I forget your name, Tamar? Oh man, I just got it. But like in the movie Acrimony, one of the scenarios in that movie, one of the scenarios, I ain't talking about the whole movie and to begin with, but one of the scenarios, the the sisters influence, encourage, and cause her to not, or to push him away and divorce him. That wasn't solely just her. It was an influence, outside source. So it's like, was he really a bad man in that movie? He cheated on her when they was like 19. Or have a, well, it's not good to cheat, whatever, none of that. But after that, he didn't do nothing bad only from a standpoint of, he wasn't doing good with jobs and the money issue. I know that's a big thing in the community, but marriage. But what I'm saying is from the standpoint of how those women influenced her decision for that situation. So that man leaving, and he didn't even leave. But then some would say he still left because he didn't stick around, or he didn't wait to give her a chance to come back. I don't know. But all that stuff can be avoided if y'all preserve self. Y'all preserve each other. Y'all keep each other together before bringing everybody else in. And that's one scenario that we can attach to this topic as far as that. And that was what I was talking about with the mother of my son. Ours was a lot of outside stuff, and that's what took place. So
it's interesting that so when you were just talking just now, reminded me of the concept of long suffering, right? So I think that you told me the movie, so I don't know. The situation with that, long suffering could have been
it could have been implemented. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because I feel like women are encouraged to be long suffering. Like, it's like, yes, just stick with him, and brothers be like, well, the wife is the pillar of the rest for the So you hear stuff like that, and I understand that, but then I wonder, how does that play in then, being Hassatan's advocate? How does that play in on this side when the men leave because they're not prepared or they're not ready? And I'm not talking about extreme circumstances where the woman is a raging witch, right? I'm talking about situations where he just ain't ready. Like, what would you say to the men about long suffering, or what have you want to term it? Because like I said, I think we're constantly burdened with that. Like I was talking the other day about basically, I ain't gonna say it. I'll leave it up. But just like the woman is responsible for doing a lot to keep everybody in the household straight. I feel like that's my perspective. Even conversations I've heard, people say that about the woman, but then in situations where the men leave, are they being told to stick it out? I guess they are. I don't know.
They are. That's what I'm saying. Real quick, and I'm be quick. I promise. I know I was long-winded last time. I think it depends on the person and the people that you're around or you hear from. Like you hear a lot of women they'll say all men are this, or you hear a lot of men that say all women are this. But then there's a select few men or women that be like, no, I don't agree with that statement. I know men that I was one of them actually. I'm not gonna tell the person. I'm not gonna say I almost did actually, but I'm not gonna say it. But I was, hey man, stick it out, man. Come on, man. You're doing something great right now. You got a child, one woman, two children, one woman. You've been together. This and that. I'm encouraging them. So it's men and women out there that do that. I'm definitely sure because I can attest to that. But as far as the long suffering thing, I agree with that. I agree that we both can and should. And I do know that it is men and women both that do that. I think that, remember, now me and you talked about this and Isaiah in the past shows, what's being promoted is that women are this bad or good, or men are bad or good. That's what's being promoted. But we know there are women and or men that are not what's being promoted. So long suffering is there for some. I mean, that was a movie, but it is true stuff that's stuff that happens. I'm sure. I know. And he could have waited, but then we got to implement the variables because some people are not as strong as others in certain scenarios. childhood, what took place, why, what happened, was he looking at, like with me, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I get with the next person I get with and the last person I get with, one of the first things I'm looking at is their friends and their family. That's one of the first things. Their friends and their family. One of the last things might be how many friends they got on Facebook, how many people comment. I'm looking at all that because I don't want what happened to me last time to happen again. Like I don't want. I ain't even told y'all who watching everything, so I'm not trying to. So I'm not going to do that. But what I'm saying is, it's a lot. So you got to learn from your past. But what I'm gonna do is I'm looking at that because those are the biggest influences until y'all get married, and then once y'all get married, they still was the big influences to the woman or the man that you marry. So you have to look at how they are with their friends, what their friends are like, what their family are like, and that'll help, I believe, us better succeed because now you're dealing with their mental because you soak in what you are around or what you read or what you listen to or what you
Right.
look. That's what you soak in more than anything.
That's a good point. Did you want to say something?
Yes. Excellent point. I'm sorry if y'all hear the dog. I actually agree. I want to go back and watch that movie that y'all was just talking about.
Man, that's gonna. Hey, watch it and you hit me up and you let me know your thoughts. That movie is crazy. Acrimony. I'm about to text it to you right now. Acrimony.
Do that for me. Do that for me. Phone in on
They got that red box, or you could go to the little Kodo movies or something. Type of acrimony. Yeah.
Tamar, to your point, as far as the woman and being long suffering, I think we need that as a community.
Yeah.
You know,
across the board, right? Everybody.
in relationship, out of relationship, whatever aspect of relationship, yes, I think we all need to be a little more long suffering with each other. As far as giving the perception of women some rest, I think that's necessary too. That's one of the loudest things I hear as far as women are concerned. You know, they want some rest, and it's as well as and the children and work and everything else that they have to kind of contribute to. I don't want to say this is this situation for every case, but I give it to you like this. I've seen a situation where the man, whether the woman knew or not, he cheated on her 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, and she gave in to her emotions or whatever, and she went and messed with somebody once, then it was World War III.
Right.
Household. Um, you know, kids witnessing it all. Kids are, now split up. Well, pops was this and mom did that, and the other kids are like, well, pops did this, and vice versa. And now people are starting to point the fingers at who's wrong and who's right. First of all, I don't know if this is part of this conversation, but it's about time that I don't want to say expose children, but we need to keep children away from our adult conversations, but not
Absolutely.
shelter them from the lessons that are learned. What I mean is they don't have to witness the conversation or see the argument or the fight or everything else, but at some point there should be a healthy sit down between all parties in this family and discuss. I think a lot of times that can help as far as building or strengthening relationships between parents and both parties. It reminds me of a show. Shema, I'm not sure if you watched it, but I know Tamar has. The All American show.
No, I got to get into that though.
Oh, it's good. You need to get on it right now.
But yeah, and within the show, I don't, since you haven't seen it and you're about to get into it, I'm not gonna spoil it for any of
No
those.
spoiler alerts. No.
I'm gonna try to stay away from it. But what I will say is, in order to stop a whole bunch of nonsense from happening, and it's funny because that show, like the premise of that show, fits the aspect of this conversation that we're having. But a lot of times we need to be expressive with what our faults are and understand how we messed up. Because a lot of times, like how we were talking before we added the mediator aspect of it, um, we we tend not to want to take blame for any of our own actions.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is, well, this person did this person did that. I see it all the time in these groups and discussions. Well, the man did this and the man did that, and he ain't no good because of this and he ain't no good because of that, or vice versa. The men pointing fingers at the women pointing at the men. Nobody is putting a hand down to say, well, nobody is putting a hand down and saying we've all been equally, or even if it's unequal, we all have been wronged in this situation.
Right.
But how do we begin to grow? And I think, like, even if we're talking about, why has the men left, or the solution now, how to get, instead of opening up to saying the man, how to get all parties to stay within that nucleus. The ideal, like how you expressed, would be maturity and conversation. Tamar, you added the great point in maturity, conversation, and being long. I think healthy additions of all three of those traits could presumably, I know I said it wrong.
That's
Keep
okay. Just keep trying. Keep trying. You're gonna master the King's English. You keep on trying.
funny, but I think aspects of all three of those are even more of just wanting to do the right thing, being careful of being mindful of the child, can create the nice little gumbo that changes that narrative. So where we aren't seeing, also, I don't know if it was mentioned, but staying away from these cliches and stereotypes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it is annoying. But what I will say is, although,
It conditions you too. It
yeah,
conditions
yeah,
stereotypes.
it
Yeah.
changes the way you think. And a lot of times, although we start to live them and become them, like we start to embody the stereotypes. And I think if we moved away from those, or moved away from, this is going to be taboo, and I'm quite sure I'm going to get some backlash. Remove away from this so-called culture that we decide to hold true to. I think once we decide to pick something else up, I think the narrative as far as a community will change.
Expound on that, brother.
Uh-oh.
So we could get an understanding of what
But
you mean.
definitely.
After we had a little 2 hour talk, I want to see what you're gonna say.
I feel you. And yes, we did have a nice long conversation. What I mean by that is, so looking at the stereotypes, there's certain narratives that are said about so-called black folks. There's certain aspects of life that we are expected to live, and we don't have to. I think a lot of those things are attributes given to us. I don't think a lot of those things, I don't think we created, or we are the authority that said this is who we are. I think someone else said this is who we are, and we decided that that's who we were going to be. Everything from having our pants hanging off our behinds, to the way we talk to each other, to what Tamar was mentioning earlier about the woman on the media reel that she was watching, sitting there popping her neck and snapping her fingers, or whatever. The way we interact with each other, from body language to cadence in the way we speak, to the tone in the way we speak, I don't necessarily feel that that's something that we created. I think it's something that we adopted and held true to and I think it has put us in situations where a certain stereotype or a negative image could have been kind of portrayed. But once we decide to, even if it's not necessarily this is how I choose to act, or this is what, it is said about how Black people should act, I think we should adopt more of a this is who I am as a person and bump what you think or what you say I should act like. How Tamar said she has quote unquote a little white in her. I understand what you mean, not necessarily trying to put an image because that goes into a whole nother psychological topic as far as identification. But ideally, when we see things that are quote unquote white-esque, we attribute those to being better than anything else. And I think once we focus in on that and kind of tinker with that a little bit, we can actually begin to find out who we are.
All right.
Yeah. And
Well, I'll go ahead. I'll let you.
no, yeah, I know we get ready to wind down. Were you gonna say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
No, I was about to say we about to wind down, so I just wanted us to, probably say our closing remarks in regards to it. Hopefully something we say can spark those that might listen to this or watch this later. So, I'll go last if y'all want me to. It don't matter.
Okay, I'll just jump in. I would just say that I hope that people have a better understanding or are encouraged to know that nothing is one-sided when you have relationships. Especially when you come together and make a child. Like there was some kind of interacting that happened to even make that happen. So, and I would agree with you, Shema, about making it more or less about what do you do now? Because we don't want to. Hindsight is one thing, but once you're in this situation, I love what you said about maintaining your integrity. You didn't use that word, but that's how my brain said. Heard you say, maintain your integrity no matter what, because that's all you can do is control yourself, and maybe you'll grow from it, and then maybe your child will see that, your children or child will see that, and that'll be the ultimate goal. But I don't think that any situation that happens is a bad situation. I really do believe that everything that we go through is to push us to stretch and grow and be better. And I believe that the Most High resolves everything. So for those of you who believe in the Most High, be encouraged in that. And the other thing last thing I want to say is that if you are single and look to have a family and don't look to be divorced or separated, not that you can control any of that, but I would agree again with what Shema said about learning yourself, taking your time. Like, ain't no rush. I think we was talking about it earlier, either Isaac or Jacob. For those of you who believe in the Bible, Isaac or Jacob, one of them was 40 years old before they even got married. Like, well, I don't understand. Like the rush. Like I thought it was a meme, and that's how the other day I thought it was interesting. I shared it. That said that it's more important to be married to the right person than it is to be married before you're 30. So take your time, because once you make that connection and do it, you stuck for the rest of your life with this person. Like, and you ain't never, even if you get married again, this person is always always in your life, aggravating your spirit. So let's not be aggravated in our spirits. Let's make better choices. And I'm done.
That's
All
right.
Man, how do you follow up that one? I agree with both of the things both of you guys said. As far as looking within, and me being a quote unquote single brother, quote unquote young.
What you mean, quote unquote?
Because,
What's the quote for?
Business.
Oh,
Sound a little suspect.
oh, no, honestly. But me being single and quote unquote young, and yeah, that's
What you mean young? What's quote unquote young?
Right.
you gotta put the quote unquotes in there, man. You gotta put them in there. You never know how people feel. But oh, little joke. But
my bad.
Shoot, man, I feel like I'm 82, but that's a story. ideally, yeah, you want to kind of find yourself, and that's what I've been taking this time to try to do. Is kind of look within and see who I am really, because the ideal was not necessarily to be married and have babies. Um, I know a lot of people kind of lean into that, but I don't necessarily think that that's wise counsel. Where it has been told, even the whole sowing your royal oats and everything that has put our people in jeopardy in a lot of different ways. So, without adding anything in, I know these are supposed to be closing remarks. So, what I will say is, what both of you guys have already mentioned, staying true to yourself, showing who you are to that person that you're dating, and not being afraid of being you can keep you from a lot of situations and keep you. And if you're not ready to have kids, don't do the things that produce them.
Right.
Man,
You know. But
man.
I'm gonna keep it simple and let that be my last remarks. Just remain diligent, remain focused, remain humble, and if you do have children, trying to find whatever that connective piece that made you say, "Hey, this person was cool" in the first place, and building off of that, where you've dropped the ball everywhere else.
That's it.
I'm going to say this because both of y'all hit some great points. A great closing remark for both of you all. Um, for both of you. Um, I'm going to say for two parts. One, if you don't have children, I say um, operate as though you have children that are becoming adults. And that might not sound right, but what I'm basically trying to say is a lot of us, when we are single, we're not thinking about our future children.
Right.
We're not thinking about how we would love for them to be when they're adults. Not to struggle, not to see things that maybe contributed to their future due to you shortcomings. So I would say try to operate in wisdom and be very mindful of your decisions, um, not according to how a nice feeling for the moment, not according to lowering your standards. Don't do that, please. I know people say lower your standards or don't have high standards. Man, forget that. I ain't trying to tell y'all what to do, but stay true, man. Stay true. Do not drop them and hold yourself accountable for the standards that you have made, because a lot of us don't
Right.
even hold ourselves accountable for the standards that we made when we are with that individual. So we got to try to do that. If you are with someone and you are currently going through something with the man that left, and maybe he's still around actually, but he just, because maybe, I don't know, maybe he's still around doing what he's supposed to do or whatever, but he maybe got in your mind that he left you, because that's another thing I wanted to touch on that but we didn't. Um, and if that is the case, then you got to let him go from a standpoint of you got to take that out your mind that he left and just now focus on the children, like Tamar and Isaiah saying. Just focus on the children now. Be amicable, be mature, and think about them. Don't get caught up in the stereotypes like he said. It's fine. Well, I don't need no man. I'm gonna do all this stuff myself. But what about the children? I don't care. No, care. Care for the child, because you best believe someday when they get older, they're gonna think about, man, my father wasn't there. You could have contributed. You know what I'm saying? How about, I want to say this last thing too, y'all. I'm sorry. But I know some will think like that and then they won't even reach out to the dad. But it is a lot of women that do reach out. Don't get it wrong. I'm just trying to put out different variables. If you have not reached out to him, reach out and then just try to talk calm. You know what I'm saying? If he's talking stupid, hey, that's on him. You did your part. But if he's not talking stupid, try to figure out something for the children's future, man. This for the children now. Y'all not together. So that's all I got. Hopefully something we said was good for you all that's listening or maybe watching later. Hopefully you don't think we're taking sides. We're not. We're very objective. I'm just trying to put every variable I could think of out, and I'm sure they did the same, at least at this moment. Maybe we'll revisit this later, a part 2 or something, because I'm sure we didn't talk about everything, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, we thank everybody for joining us. Those that will be listening later on, we'll hope we keep the conversation going. I think Shamak gonna put some links to the 2 videos he mentioned earlier. So catch us most high willing next week, same Zoom channel, same no. So it'll be 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central for another conversation. We'll put the post up. Any suggestions of what we should talk about? Let us know. Love our Facebook page, Love Language the Roundtable. So with that, peace.
Peace. Thank y'all for having me on too.
Yep.
Almost deaf. Always welcome.
That's right.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.